I always am rooting for the toxic character. Justice for Julian. It's like Grey's Anatomy in book form. It was just the cutest. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. Today I am doing my June wrap up. I love these videos because I love getting to sit down with you guys at the end of the month and talk about what I read. And I love to hear your guys' comments in the comment section. If you've read any of these books and you have any comments about them, spoiler free of course, definitely leave them in the comment section. Without further ado, we are gonna get into this wrap up. So these are all books that I read in June. 3 of them I have the actual physical copy for, but 2 of them I read on my Kindle. My reading scale is from 1 star to 5 star, 5 star being absolutely beautiful, perfect, wonderful, and 1 being like I hated it. If you want more details about how I actually rate my books, I do have that in my bio on Goodreads, and so you can really see how I get into my ranking system. I do really want to get back into Goodreads like more intentionally. I think I'm pretty much just logging what I'm reading on there right now, but I really do want to get back into writing reviews and stuff. I'll leave my link to my Goodreads down below so that if you want to, you can follow me. So the first book we're going to talk about is Finale. This is by Stephanie Garber. She is the author of the Caraval series. She's also the author of the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which is kind of like in the same world essentially as the Caraval series. I do know she's written some other things, but we're just gonna keep it there for now. Finale is the finale. It is the 3rd and last installment in the Caraval series. I've been reading the Caraval series over the better part of a year, so it's been really spaced out reading this, but I absolutely loved this series. A lot of people skip the Caraval series and I don't know why. It's so good. It's whimsical, the romance is beautiful, the stories are always super fast paced. Once I get like 1 to 2 chapters in, I always find myself flying through the book and always find myself reaching for it, like wanting to continue where I left off because I just find them to be so good. Throughout the whole series, we're following 2 sisters who come from somewhat of a broken home. They have an abusive father and their mother has left them behind. And in this world, there is this game master who basically makes this game. It's really hard to describe, but he basically creates this live game and you can compete to win, and at the end you get like a wish granted. Now in the 3rd book, they are basically trying to save everyone from mass destruction essentially. I feel like I'm not describing it well, but it's kind of hard because it's in a series and I don't want to reveal anything, but I will say the romance is so good in these books, and I really enjoyed that we got closure and finality in this book. There was a little love triangle going on, and the character who did not win our main character's heart is seen in Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is kind of funny that that's what it's called. So I'm definitely excited to pick that up because I love him. I am toxic. I always am rooting for the toxic character. I gave this 4 stars, thought it was really good, and I highly recommend. Next up, we have a super highly anticipated read for me, and I was so lucky because I got an arc. This was my 2nd arc, but this was like an arc that I could have only dreamed of receiving, and this is Into the Dark. This is part of the Magnolia Parks universe, and this is by Jessa Hastings. If you know anything about me, you know that I love the Magnolia Parks series. Like, I love it. It's up here on my little shelf. These 2 series are 2 of my favorite series. I mean, like, what more could you ask for than for the author of your favorite series to send you an arc? Although I got an arc, I didn't actually get to pick this up. I picked it up at the end of May and finished it in June, and I rated it 4 stars. The series as a whole for me is 100% a 5 star, dare I say 6 star series for me. I think the only book in this series that wasn't 5 stars for me was the 2nd book, which was the first Daisy Hates book. Other than that, everything else has been 5 stars. This is the last book that we're going to be getting from Magnolia and BJ's point of view. I don't think that means that MPU is done. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, you know, it's really special because it's like closing out, hearing from their perspective, and they obviously are like the bread and butter of this series. I will say, for trigger warnings, this book deals a lot with grief. Something really tragic and traumatic happens to our main character Magnolia, and this whole book is her trying to come to terms with what's happened but not really coming to terms with it, and actually finally facing, uncovering, and coming to terms with a lot of other traumas that happened in her life that make her who she is and how she is today. So definitely check the trigger warnings on this because it was very unexpectedly deep, but we still got a lot of the banter that we love. We still got a lot of the box set, and I don't mind that some more serious topics were explored in this book. I think the reason why I'm giving this 4 stars, well, there's 2 reasons. One of the reasons why I only gave this 4 stars is because Justice for Julian. Like, Jessa really teased us a lot in this book with Julian, and you know what? Like, knowing how this book ends, I'm grateful to have had those little moments where my heart could feel just like an ounce of happiness. But Justice for Julian, like, again, maybe I just choose the toxic characters, but I I wanted something else. The second reason why I'm giving this 4 stars is because I think it was a bit too long. I felt like near the end it did start to drag a little bit and it became a little monotonous, and I was finding it hard to finish and pay attention. Wonderful book, great series, highly recommend, and yeah, 4 stars. Next, I read a book from one of my favorite authors of all time, Emily Henry, and that was Beach Read. It was high time for me to finally read this book. It was my first romance in a while, and I'm so happy that I decided to go with this. It was just like such a breath of fresh air for me. Gus and January were perfect. They were perfect. They were so cute. This book also did touch on some deeper themes. I think all these books did that I'm going to talk about. Gus and January are well acquainted with each other. They went to college together, and they kind of are like secret rivals, or at least on January's side, she's been competing with Gus for years to make herself known as a better writer than him. In their adult lives, they're actually both writers, and when January's father passes away, she ends up going down to the house and settling his affairs in that house and gets it ready to be sold. However, she's going there not willingly, and she actually discovered a terrible secret about her father upon his death, and so she's just like really going through it and like grieving 2 different things. She's grieving her father, and she's grieving the life that she knew, and she's questioning everything. Gus has his own things that he's also going through, and as they kind of decide to not be rivals, they start to unpack everything that they're going through, and then they fall in love, and it's beautiful. I love Emily Henry. She does it every single time. Oh my gosh, you know what? I forgot to actually put this on Goodreads. This was a strong 4.5 stars for me. Now we're moving over to the Kindle because the last 2 books that I'm going to talk to you guys about were read on my Kindle. The 2 books that I read were both by Abby Jimenez. I read Yours Truly, and then I read Just for the Summer. Just for the Summer is a newer release. I think it was released in June. Yours Truly is a book that I've been wanting to read for so long, so I was so happy to get around to it. And after I read that, I had to read Just for the Summer because I love me some Abby Jimenez. One of the things that I really love about Abby Jimenez is she writes these characters that go through these very real things. Like, they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and although it's always 2 characters coming together and they're struggling because of their past or because of whatever it is that they have going on with them, there's not like this huge miscommunication trope, and that is beautiful. I mean, there's always a miscommunication, but they resolve it right then and there. Another thing that I really love about Abby Jimenez is, for the most part, most of her books have been centered around the healthcare field. So a lot of her characters, or at least one of the characters in each of the story, is like a doctor or a nurse. And I'm actually starting medical school this fall. So weird to say, but it just like does something for me. I just love it. It makes me feel at home when I'm like reading about it. It's like Grey's Anatomy in book form. In Yours Truly, we are following Dr. Brianna and Dr. Jacob. They are 2 ER docs, and right off the bat, they are off on the wrong foot. Jacob suffers from anxiety, and he has a hard time in a new environment, and he's just started at this hospital where Brianna's working, and so his anxiety and the new environment and the stress of the day kind of leads him to have a awkward situation with Brianna, and they start off on the wrong foot. I don't want to say anything else because literally everything else is just the story, so I'm just gonna leave it there, but it explores some really important themes and I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. The beautiful thing about this book is you see the difference between someone not accepting you for who you are and kind of struggling to make that relationship work because you feel misunderstood, and somebody who really cares about you and wants to understand you and easily can make accommodations to make you feel comfortable. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things and like the huge theme in this book. Also, this book is technically categorized under the Part of Your World book, which is the first book that I read by Abby Jimenez, and I gave it 5 stars. So we do have some characters coming back in, and I think that's so cute. I love when authors do that. The second Abby Jimenez book is her most recent book that she released, and it's called Just for the Summer. 5 stars. I loved everything about this book. It was just the cutest. It was so freaking cute, and I loved the themes. Oh my gosh. In this book, we're following the 2 characters, Justin and Emma. Emma is a nurse, and Justin, I think he works like in tech or startup or something like that. Basically, Emma has attachment issues, like severe, serious attachment issues, and Justin is going through his own things, like his world has just been turned upside down, and his life is about to change at the time that he meets Emma. And it starts off so cute. The book starts out with like a Reddit post that's made by Justin, and Emma Emma finds it when she's like scrolling on her lunch break. I just thought that was such like a unique intro to a book, so I automatically was already hooked from that point. And then just the development of their relationship, truly, like I said before, like the way that Abby Jimenez tackles these important topics, these deep topics, but these very real and raw topics, it's done masterfully. I've mentioned it before, like in different videos, but I really love a romance book that touches on real topics. I like it to be real and raw and like gut-wrenching. It's just like it's real life, and I think that this book was beautifully done. It was like you saw their trauma and like even experienced it firsthand with them in the book, and I don't know, it was just like, it's so hard to explain. Just read it. Highly recommend. I know that there were a lot of you guys who saw that I was reading Just for the Summer and who were excited to see what I had to say about it. I'd love to know what you guys thought about it too, so let me know down in the comments. So those are all the books that I read in June. I had a wonderful reading month, and I'm already off to a really good start for July, so can't wait to share those books with you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
When you're not here, the sun don't shine. When you're not near, I don't feel like I do when you're with me. It felt like sudden